Hello everybody, my name is Dee and welcome to Books and Quirks. Today is going to be a wrap-up video. I'm going to wrap up everything that I finished last week. Okay, so let me get right into some of the books that I recently finished. So the first one that I want to talk about is Gemina, which is the sequel to Illuminae. This is basically kind of like a space opera told through different means. So it's told through a bunch of different documents, emails, chat, surveillance video. It's told through some illustrations as well. And actually, Marie Lu illustrated this, which I did not know until I opened it, until I opened the front cover and looked at the illustrator. So that was quite exciting. And yeah, I really enjoyed Illuminae when I first read it. I enjoyed Gemina because I really think that the way the story is told is just a fun experience in itself. But I have to say, for the first third of the book, I wasn't really sure what was going on. I mean, I knew a little bit of what was going on, but it follows a whole big cast of characters. So you know, some parts of it I was very cloudy on. It wasn't until I got past that first third that I really started to get invested in the actual characters and the story rather than just the storytelling element of it. So this is supposed to be kind of like a classified file of what happened on this space station. Basically, you know, on this station, a terrorist group kind of took over the ship and the main characters are trying to survive. In the last 100 pages or the last 150 pages, the old characters from Illuminae did make an appearance, so I was quite happy to see them because I kind of missed them. So yeah, this was a fun read. I definitely recommend it. It just wasn't my favorite. I think Illuminae was my favorite, and I gave this 3.5 stars. The next book that I finished recently is The War of the Roses by Alison Weir. This is a nonfiction real account of what happened during the War of the Roses, the famed War of the Roses in Britain. And I've always wanted to learn more about this, and I'm a huge history buff anyway. And I picked this book up. This is my first Alison Weir book. She's a renowned historian and author, and I loved it. Oh my gosh. Alison Weir is such an extraordinary storyteller. I forgot, halfway through this book, I forgot that I was even reading nonfiction. She writes in a way that you keep turning the pages to find out what happens. It's just amazing. She's so talented, and I plan on reading a lot more of her books in the future. So The War of the Roses, just to give a quick 2-minute recap, started in 1455, and it was a war between the House of Lancaster and the House of York, basically vying for the throne and the power to be king. And the House of Lancaster and the House of York were actually cousins. They both houses were related. They were descended from Edward III in the 1300s. I think he was king from 1327 about to 1377, I think. I have to look at my notes. I did need to write some notes in the first half of this book just to keep track of all of the names and the lineage of each family. Because Edward III had a bunch of kids and all his kids had a bunch of kids. I mean, it was just, there's so many different branches and trees and limbs, and it's just too many for my brain to remember. So I did need to write some notes, but I loved this so much. I finished it in a little over a week, about a week and a half. Last Friday Reads, I did mention that I started it. And I have to credit her. Usually when it comes to a nonfiction book, it takes me a lot longer to get through, and I only read bits and pieces at a time. But for this, it was so compelling. I just kept turning the pages, and I couldn't stop reading, and I absolutely loved it. And I know more about the War of the Roses than I ever did before. before reading this, and I definitely plan to pick up more of her books in the future. The next book that I finished recently was Dust by Yvonne Adhiambo Owuor. This book, I gave it 3 stars. I'm not sure how to explain it, and I kind of have mixed feelings on it. I really enjoyed some of this book, especially the main character of Anjane. So before I get into that, let me just say that this follows a family in Kenya. This takes place in Kenya, in the Kenyan drylands. And it takes place in the present time, but throughout the book there are a lot of flashbacks also through the turbulent times in Kenya of the 1950s and 1960s. And at the beginning of the book, a young man died. His name was Odidi. I think I'm saying that right. And he was brought home to his family. His sister is Anjane, and Anjane and Odidi had a really special bond, a special relationship, and she's kind of heartbroken. The whole family is heartbroken and deals with it in their own way, but especially Anjane, because she had this special bond with her brother. And I almost feel like this story is a tragic love story, and I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about like love between family members, and especially the love between brother and sister. Odidi was the older brother of Anjane. He really protected her, and I really enjoyed seeing all of the flashbacks of when Anjane was a young girl, and you know, the kind of things and conversations that she had with her older brother. It was just so beautiful. The other characters in this book kind of fell flat for me. They were really not the most likable characters in the world. There was a little bit of redemption at the end, I think, for a couple of people, but for a couple of characters. But for the most part, I just did not enjoy the other aspects of this book. Anytime Anjane was the main focus, I was very much enjoying it. Anytime Odidi was the main focus, I was very much enjoying it. The other characters I really didn't connect to, I really didn't care for. And yeah, so that's really all I'll say. I will say also that the writing was very beautiful, very poetic, but it was also very choppy, and the timeline wasn't the timeline kept on jumping all over the place because of the flashbacks. And I didn't mind it at first, but towards the middle of the book, I think, I started to get a little bit confused. And that was another negative. I gave this book 3 stars, and I think basically if it wasn't for Anjane and Odidi and those 2 characters, I might not have completed this book. But I really did enjoy those 2, and the writing, despite the choppiness, I really did like this book when I'm thinking about the overall kind of picture. So the last book that I finished recently was Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. This was a really cute, fun, fast read. It is about a girl named Alice, and Alice buys her best friend a lottery ticket for his 18th birthday. She turned 18 a few months prior, and it winds up to be the winning ticket. And it turns their lives upside down. It also affects different members of the family, so you get to see how it affects family, how it affects friendships, and I thought it was a really sweet, cute read. There is a romance involved. You know, the main character, Alice, has had kind of a rough childhood. She lost her parents when she was young. She lives with her aunt and uncle, and the relationship she has with them is very, very special as well, and they play a big part in this story also. And her cousin that she lives with, her aunt and uncle's son. So I just enjoyed this. I think I read it in under 24 hours. It's just about 400 pages, but the print is pretty big, so it was a fast read. And I thought it was super cute and enjoyable. I gave it 3.5 stars, and yeah, I definitely recommend this if you want just a quick, super sweet, fast read. So that is all I have for you. Those are some of the recent books that I finished. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.